say Shabbat, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the West, to the four corners of the earth scattered greetings. This Shabbat lesson is a continuous series, but this is the second book of Adam and Eve, brothers and sisters. We completed the first book. This is the second book of Adam and Eve, brothers and sisters, chapter 1. From the lost books of the Bible and the forgotten book of Eden. The grief-stricken family, Cain marries Lulua and they move away. When Lulua heard Cain's words, she wept and went to call her father and mother and told them how that Cain had killed his brother Abel. Then they all cried aloud and lifted up their voices and slapped their faces and threw dust upon their heads and rent asunder their garments and went out and came to the place where Abel was killed. And they found him lying on the earth, killed, and beasts around him, while they wept and cried because of the just one. From his body by reason of his purity went forth a smell of sweet spice. Right? From his body by reason of his purity went forth a smell of sweet spices. And Adam cried, and Adam carried him, his tears streaming down his face, and went to the cave of treasures, where he laid him and wound him up with sweet spices and myrrh. And Adam and Eve continued by the burial of him in great grief 140 days, and Abel was 15 and a half years old, and Cain 17 years and a half. As for Cain, when the mourning for his brother was ended, he took his sister Lulua and married her, without leave from his father and mother, for they could not keep him from her by reason of their heavy heart. He then went down to the bottom of the mountain, away from the garden, near to the place where he had killed his brother. And in that place were many fruit trees and forest trees. His sister bare him children, who in their turn began to multiply by degrees until they filled that place. But as for Adam and Eve, they came not together after Abel's funeral for 7 years. After this, however, Eve conceived. But as for Adam and Eve, they came not together after Abel's funeral for 7 years. After this, however, Eve conceived, and while she was with child, Adam said to her, Come, let us take an offering and offer it unto Elohim, and ask him to give us a fair child in whom we may find comfort, and whom we may join in marriage to Abel's sister. Then they prepared an offering and brought it up to the altar and offered it before Yahuwah, and began to entreat him to accept their offering and to give them a good offspring. And Elohim heard Adam and accepted his offering. Then they worshipped Adam, Eve, and their daughter, and came down to the cave of treasures, and placed a lamp in it to burn by night and by day before the body of Abel. Then Adam and Eve continued fasting and praying until Eve's time came that she should be delivered. When she said to Adam, I wish to go to the cave in the rock to bring forth in it. And he said, Go and take with thee thy daughter to wait on thee, but I will remain in this cave of treasures before the body of my son Abel. Then Eve hearkened to Adam and went, she and her daughter, but Adam remained by himself in the cave of treasures. Chapter 2. A third son is born to Adam and Eve. And Eve brought forth a son perfectly beautiful in figure and in countenance. His beauty was like that of his father Adam, yet more beautiful. Then Eve was comforted. Then Eve was comforted when she saw him and remained 8 days in the cave. Then she sent her daughter unto Adam to tell him to come and see the child and name him. But the daughter stayed in his place by the body of her brother until Adam returned. So did she. But when Adam came and saw the child's good looks, his beauty, and his perfect figure, he rejoiced over him and was comforted for Abel. Then he named the child Seth. That means that Elohim has heard my prayer and has delivered me out of my affliction, but it means also power and strength. Then, after Adam had named the child, he returned to the cave of treasures, and his daughter went back to her mother. But Eve continued in her cave until 40 days were fulfilled, when she came to Adam and brought with her the child and her daughter. And they came to a river of water where Adam and his daughter washed themselves because of their sorrow for Abel. But Eve and the babe washed for purification. Then they returned and took an offering and went to the mountain to offer it up for the babe. And Elohim accepted the offering and sent his blessing upon them and upon their son Seth. And they came back to the cave of treasures. As for Adam, he knew not again his wife Eve all the days of his life, neither was any more offspring born of them, but only those 5, Cain, Luluwa, Abel, Achliah, and Seth alone. But Seth waxed in stature and strength, and began to fast and pray fervently. Chapter 3. Saturn appears as a beautiful woman, tempting Adam, telling him he is still a youth. Spend thy youth in mirth and pleasure, the different form which Saturn takes. As for our father Adam, at the end of 7 years from the day he had been severed from his wife Eve, Satan envied him when he saw him thus separated from her, and strove to make him live with her again. Then Adam arose and went up above the cave of treasures and continued to sleep there night by night. But as soon as it was light every day, he came down to the cave to pray there and to receive a blessing from it. But when it was evening, he went up on the roof of the cave where he slept by himself, fearing lest Satan should overcome him. And he continued thus apart 39 days. Then Satan, the hater of all good, when he saw Adam thus alone, fasting and praying, appeared unto him in the form of a beautiful woman, who came and stood before him in the night of the 40th day, and said unto him, O Adam, from the time he have dwelt in this cave, we have experienced great peace from you, and your prayers have reached us, and we have been comforted about you. But now, O Adam, that thou hast gone up over the roof of the cave to sleep, we have had doubts about thee, and a great sorrow has come upon us because of thy separation from Eve. Then again, when thou art on the roof of this cave, thy pride is poured out, and thy heart wanders from side to side. But when thou wast in the cave, thy prayer was like fire gathered together. It came down to us, and thou didst find rest. Then I also grieve over thy children who are severed from thee, and my sorrow is great about the murder of thy son Abel. For he was righteous, and over a righteous man every one will grieve. But I rejoice over the birth of thy son Seth. Yet after birth of thy son Seth, yet after a little while, as I sorrowed greatly over Eve, because she is my sister. For when Elohim sent a deep sleep over thee, and drew her out of thy side, he brought me out also with her. But he raised her by placing her with thee, while he lowered me. I rejoice over my sister for her being with thee, but Elohim had made me a promise before and said, Grieve not when Adam has gone up on the roof of the cave of treasures and is separated from Eve, his wife, I will send thee to him. Thou shalt join thyself to him in marriage, and bear him 5 children, as Eve did bear him 5. And now, lo, Eliakim's promise to me is fulfilled, for it is he who has sent me to thee for the wedding. Because if thou wed me, I shall bear thee finer and better children than those of Eve. Then again, thou art as yet but a youth, and not thy youth in this world in sorrow, but spend the days of thy youth in mirth and pleasure. For thy days are few, and thy trial is great. Be strong, and thy days in this world in rejoicing. I shall take pleasure in thee, and thou shalt rejoice with me in this wise and without fear. Up then, and fulfill the command of thy Elohim, and then drew near to Adam, and embraced him. Then she then drew near to Adam and embraced him. But when Adam saw that he should be overcome by her, he prayed to Elohim with a fervent heart to deliver him from her. Then Elohim sent his word unto Adam, saying, O Adam, that figure is the one that promised thee the Godhead and the majesty. He is not favorably disposed towards thee, but shows himself to thee at one time in the form of a woman, another moment in the likeness of an angel, another occasion in the similitude of a serpent, and at another time in the semblance of a god. But he does all that only to destroy thy soul. Now, therefore, O Adam, understanding thy heart, I have delivered thee many a times from his hands, in order to show thee that I am a merciful Elohim, and that I wish thy good, and that I do not wish thy ruin. Chapter 4. Adam sees the devil in his true color. Then Elohim ordered Satan to shew himself to Adam plainly in his own hideous form. But when Adam saw him, he feared and trembled at the sight of him. And Elohim said to Adam, Look at this devil, and at his hideous look, and know that it is who made thee fall from brightness into darkness, from peace and rest to toil and misery. And look, O Adam, at him who said of himself that he is Elohim. Can Elohim be black? Would Elohim take the form of a woman? Is there anyone stronger than Elohim and can be overpowered? You see that, brothers and sisters? That shows you the Most High is telling you that there is no other Elohim besides him. Yet still, people continue to conjure and to push this notion of this ancient Egyptian God is older than the God of the Bible, and then this God over here is older than the Bible. Like, it's foolishness. This is all false narration. You saw me, brothers and sisters? This is the working of Satan, that spirit that is the hate of all good and righteousness. Because Yahuwah, through his whole son Yahushua, represent good, brothers and sisters. So Satan will always be against good. So he will conjure up false religion, give you their gods to rule that religion, and have you believe in such a thing, and further condemning your soul, brothers and sisters. You understand? There's only one Elohim, and his name is Yahuwah. And one Savior for Yahshua, the son of Hebrew, say is Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, brothers and sisters, so let's look at let's read this over again, verse 4, right? And look, O Adam, at him who said of himself that he is God. Can God be black? Would God take the form of a woman? Is there anyone stronger than God? And can he be overpowered? Brothers and sisters? So let's look at the phrase, can God be black, right? Because some of you will hear this and take it out of context, right? Can God be black? Right? Black is, of course, the darkest color in the Bible. It lacks brightness of a hue. It lacks brightness of a hue, and although it absorbs light, it does not reflect any back. Right? Scriptures state that Elohim is light. Psalms 104 verse 2. Right? 1 John 1:5 from 1611 KJV. And that the devil's name before he became the adversary of good was light bearer. Isaiah 14:12. So you see, brothers and sisters. So you see the definition and the breakdown of can God be black. Right? Alright. There's a difference, brothers and sisters, when you take the form of a flesh versus the statement where can God be black. And as I've stated just now, what that meant. Right, brothers and sisters? Right. Alright, verse 5. See then, O Adam, and behold him bound in thy presence in the air, unable to flee away. Therefore I say unto thee, be not afraid of him. Henceforth take care and be aware of him in whatever he may do to thee. Then Elohim drove Satan away from before Adam, whom he strengthened and whose heart he comforted, saying to him, go down to the cave of treasures and separate not thyself from Eve. I will quell in you all animal lust. From that hour it left Adam and Eve. They enjoyed rest by the commandments of Elohim, but Elohim did not delight to any one of Adam's seed, but only to Adam and Eve. Then Adam worshipped before Yahweh for having delivered him, and for having laid his passion, and he came down from above the cave and dwelt with Eve as aforetime. This ended 40 days of his separation from Eve. Chapter 5. The devil paints a brilliant picture for Seth to feast his thoughts upon. As for Seth, when he was 7 years old, he knew good and evil, and was consistent in fasting and praying, and spent all his nights in entreating Elohim for mercy and forgiveness. He also fasted when bringing up his offering every day, more than his father did. For he was of a fair countenance, like unto an angel of Elohim. He also had a good heart, preserved the finest qualities of his soul, and for this reason he brought up his offering every day, and Elohim was pleased with his offering, but he was also pleased with his purity, and he continued thus in doing the will of Elohim and of his father and mother until he was 7 years old. After that, as he was coming down from the altar, having ended his offering, Satan appeared unto him in the form of a beautiful angel, brilliant with light, with a staff of light in his hand, himself girt about with a girdle of light. He greeted Seth with a beautiful smile and began to beguile him with fair words, saying to him, O Seth, why abidest thou in this mountain? For it is rough, full of stones and of sand, and of trees with no good fruit on them, and wild and wilderness without habitations, and without towns, no good place to dwell in. But all is heat, weariness, and trouble. He said further, but we dwell in beautiful places in another world than this earth. Our world is one of light, and our condition is of the best. Our women are handsomer than any others, and I wish thee, O Seth, to wed one of them, because I see that thou art fair to look upon. And in this land there is not one woman good enough for thee. Besides, all those who live in this world are only 5 souls. So you see that? The last book of the Bible is telling you when the Most High created Adam and Eve, there was just Adam and Eve. So there was no other souls other than just Adam and Eve, brothers and sisters. That's when timeline started, right? But in our world there are very many men and many maidens, all more beautiful one than the other. I wish therefore to remove thee hence, that thou mayest see my relations and be wedded to whichever thou likest. You understand? You understand, brothers and sisters? I want to go back and touch a little bit on the only 5 souls, right? In verse 6. A lot of people like to, you know what I mean, they try to debunk the Bible, but the Bible stood the test of time for centuries, brothers and sisters. They like to try to add their garbage and their filth to the word of the Most High with their frivolous studies of Egyptology and all manner of ancient gods, false gods and goddesses, talking about, oh, this God was before the Bible and this God was before the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Elohim of Yashrael. Then they would tell you, right? They would tell you about ancient scriptures, ancient artifacts about, oh, see, look. This predate the Bible. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Nothing predate the word of the Most High. The word of the Most High in the beginning said, "Let there be light." So nothing can predate, "Let there be light." That's His word. That was a spoken word before any word was spoken. He spoke the first word into this earth, "Let there be light," and it was. You understand, brothers and sisters? And the Most High chose you, Yashrael, and He used His word to inspire people out of Yashrael to be His prophets and priests. You understand? No other ethnicity wrote the Bible other than Yashrael, His people, whom He has an intimate relationship with. Okay, brothers and sisters? Alright, we had verse 8. Thou shalt then abide by me and be at peace. Thou shalt be filled with splendor and light as we are. Thou shalt remain in our world and rest from this world and the misery of it. Thou shalt never again feel pain, neither again feel faint and weary. Thou shalt never bring up an offering, nor sue for mercy, for thou shalt commit no more sin, nor be swayed by passion. And if thou wilt hearken to what I say, thou shalt wed one of my daughters. For with us it is no sin so to do, neither is it reckoned animal lust. For in our world we have no Elohim, but we are all gods. You see that sound familiar, brothers and sisters? That's the same spiritual attitude, the same beguiling spirit attitude running around the rebellious of this land. You understand, brothers and sisters? This is the same antichrist spirit that's running rampant in and among Yashrael and the whole entire earth. They don't believe there is no God. They themselves are gods over their own soul, right? That's how Satan, brothers and sisters. That's his continual influence on the heart and minds of the rebellious and the wicked of this earth. Right? He continually convinces you that you are some type of God. But yet still you cannot save yourself. You cannot stop yourself from dying. You cannot stop yourself from going old. You cannot put 1 inch upon your height. You understand? You cannot. You don't know the numbers of the hair upon your head. You understand? You cannot stop yourself from getting sick. You understand? What God need food? What God need clothes? What God need shelter? What God need money? You see the foolishness of your thought process, brothers and sisters? What God needs to use the bathroom, to pee, to do all those things that the bodily function does when you eat. What God does that? But these are the things you don't think about that makes you human and not no some damn God, because you're not no God or goddesses. You're nothing. You're dust, here today and gone tomorrow. Compared to the Most High, you're nothing. Because He's above and we're below. We on earth, He's above us. Right? He said, Hashatan said, for in our world we have no God, but we are all gods. We all are the light, heavenly, powerful, strong, and glorious. Right? Chapter 6. Seth, conscience helps him. He returns to Adam and Eve. When Seth heard these words, he was amazed and inclined his heart to Hashatan's treacherous speech, and said to him, saidest thou there is another world created than this, and other creatures more beautiful than the creatures that are in this world? And Hashatan said, yes. Behold, thou hast heard me, but I will yet praise them and their ways in thy hearing. But Seth said to him, thy speech has amazed me, and thy beautiful description of it all. Yet I cannot go with thee today, not until I have gone to my father Adam and to my mother Eve, and told them all thou hast said to me. Then if they gave me leave to go with thee, I will come. Again Seth said, I am afraid of doing anything without my father's and mother's leave, lest I perish like my brother Cain, and like my father Adam, who transgressed the commandments of Elohim. But behold, thou knowest this place, come and meet me here tomorrow. When Hashatan heard this, he said to Seth, if thou tellest thy father Adam what I have told thee, he will not let thee come. But hearken to me, do not tell thy father and mother what I have said to thee, but come with me today to our world, where thou shalt see beautiful things, and enjoy thyself there, and revel this day among my children, beholding them, and taking thy fill of mirth, and rejoice evermore. Then I shall bring thee back to this place tomorrow. But if thou wouldest rather abide with me, so be it. Then Seth answered, the spirit of my father and of my mother hangs on me, and if I hid from them one day, they will die, and Elohim will hold me guilty of sinning against them. And except that they know I am come to this place to bring up to it my offering, then would not be separated from me 1 hour, neither should I go to any other place unless they let me. But they treat me most kindly, because I come back to them quickly. Then Hashatan said to him, what will happen to thee if thou hid thyself from them one night, and return to them at break of day? But Seth, when he saw how he kept on talking, and that he would not leave him, ran and went up to the altar, and spread his hand unto Elohim, and sought deliverance from him. So all this happened when Seth was 7 years old, brothers and sisters. So at 7 you know right from wrong. Right? Don't let them fool you, brothers and sisters. Then Elohim sent his word and cursed Hashatan, who fled from him. But as for Seth, he had gone up to the altar, saying thus in his heart, the altar is the place of offering, Elohim is there, a divine fire shall consume it. So shall Hashatan be unable to hurt me, and shall not take me away thence. Then Seth came down from the altar, and went to his father and mother, whom he found in the way, longing to hear his voice, for he had tarried a while. He then began to tell them what had befallen him from Hashatan under the form of an angel. But when Adam heard But when Adam heard his account, he kissed his face and warned him against that angel, telling him it was Satan who thus appeared to him. Then Adam took Seth, and they went to the cave of treasures and rejoiced therein. But from that day forth Adam and Eve never parted from him, to whatever place he might go, whether for his offering or for anything else. This sign happened to Seth when he was 9 years old. So you see that, brothers and sisters. Chapter 7. Seth marries Aklia. Adam lives to see grandchildren and great-grandchildren. When our father Adam saw that Seth was of a perfect heart, he wished him to marry, lest that enemy should appear to him another time and overcome him. So Adam said to his son Seth, I wish, O my son, that thou wed thy sister Aklia, Abel's sister, that she may bear thee children whom shall replenish the earth, according to Eliakim's promise to us. Be not afraid, O my son, there is no disgrace in it. I wish thee to marry, from fear lest the enemy overcome thee. Seth, however, did not wish to marry, but in obedience to his father and mother he said not a word. So Adam married him to Aklia, and he was 15 years old. But when he was 20 years of age, he begat a son whom he called Enos. And then begat other children than him. Then Enos grew up, married, and begat Canaan. Canaan also grew up, married, and begat Mahalaleel. Right? Mahalaleel. Those fathers were born during Adam's lifetime and dwelt by the cave of treasures. Then were the days of Adam 930 years. You see that? Huh? Then were the days of Adam 930 years. Then were the days of Adam 930 years, and those of Mahalaleel 100. But Mahalaleel, when he was grown up, loved fasting, prayed, and with hard labors until the end of our fathers Adam's days drew near. Chapter 8. Adam's remarkable last word. He predicts the flood. He exhorts his offspring to good. He reveals certain mysteries of life. When our father Adam saw that his end was near, he called his son Seth, who came to him in the cave of treasures, and he said unto him, O Seth, O Seth, my son, bring me thy children and thy children's children, that I may shed my blessing on them ere I die. When Seth heard these words from his father Adam, he went from him, shed a flood of tears over his face, and gathered together his children and his children's children, and brought them to his father's Adam. But when our father Adam saw them around him, he wept at having to be separated from them. And when they saw him weeping, they all wept together and fell upon his face, saying, How shalt thou be severed from us, O Father, O our Father? And how shall the earth receive thee and hid thee from our eyes? Thus did they lamented much, and in like words. Then our father Adam blessed them all, and said to Seth, after he had blessed them, O Seth, my son, thou knowest this world, that it is full of sorrow and of weariness, and thou knowest all that has come upon us from our trials. Verse 7. Right, let's read this over again, brothers and sisters. Verse 7. O Seth, my son, thou knowest this world, that it is full of sorrow and of weariness, and thou knowest all that has come upon us from our trials in it. I therefore now command thee in these words, in these words, to keep innocency, to be pure and just, and trust in Elohim, and lean not to the discourses of Satan, nor to the operations in which he will show himself to thee, but keep the commandments that I gave thee this day. Then gave the same to thy son Enos, and let Enos give it to his son Canaan, and Canaan to his son Mahalalel, so that this commandment abide firm among all your children. O Seth, my son, the moment I am dead, take ye my body, and wind it up with myrrh, aloes, and cassia, and leave me here in this cave of treasures, in which are all these tokens which Elohim gave us from the garden. O my son, hereafter shall a flood come and overwhelm all creatures, and leave out only 8 souls. So you see that? Adam prophesied this. So Adam is a prophet also, brothers and sisters. You understand? A lot of people didn't understand it nor look at Adam in this form. But with this last books of the Bible and the forgotten book of Eden, brothers and sisters, it points these things out and break down the parables of which the scripture speaks of, brothers and sisters. You understand? Alright. O my son, hereafter shall a flood come and overwhelm all creatures, and leave out only 8 souls. But, O my son, let those whom it will leave out from among your children at that time take my body with them out of this cave, and when they have taken it with them, let the oldest among them command his children to lay my body in a ship until the flood has been assuaged, and they come out of the ship. Then they shall take my body and lay it in the middle of the earth, shortly after they have been saved from the water of the flood. For the place where my body shall be laid is the middle of the earth. Elohim shall come from thence, and shall save all our kindred. But now, O Seth, my son, place thyself at the head of thy people, tend them and watch over them in the fear of Elohim, and lead them in the good way. Command them to fast unto Elohim, and make them understand they ought not to hearken to Satan, lest he destroy them. Then again, sever thy children and thy children's children from Cain's children. Do not let them ever mix with those, nor come near them either in their words or in their deeds. Then Adam let his blessing descend upon Seth and upon his children, upon all his children's children. He then turned to his son Seth and to Eve his wife, and said to them, preserve this gold, this incense, and this myrrh that Elohim has given us for a sign. For in days that are coming, a flood will overwhelm the whole creation. But those who shall go into the ark shall take with them the gold, the incense, and the myrrh together with my body, and lay the gold, the incense, and the myrrh with my body in the midst of the earth. So you see that, brothers and sisters, the scripture did not reveal this in the Genesis, but with the last book of the Bible is revealed that this prophecy Adam foretold came to pass, right? Came to pass, brothers and sisters. Then after a long time, the city in which the gold and the incense and the myrrh are found with my body shall be plundered. But when it is spoiled, the gold, the incense, and the myrrh shall be taken care of with the spoil that is kept, and not of them shall perish until the word of Elohim made man shall come. When king shall take them, and shall offer him gold in token of his being king, incense in token of being Elohim of heaven and earth, and myrrh in token of his passion. So you see that, brothers and sisters? Let's go over this again, because it may fly over your head, brothers and sisters, but this thing right here, you see that? This gold, frankincense, and myrrh, or gold, incense, and myrrh, brothers and sisters, this gift is coming from the garden. and it was preserved for thousands of years, right back down to the three wise men. That is the very same gold, frankincense, and myrrh that the three wise men came and gave back to the Mashiach, brothers and sisters. You see how mysterious and beautiful and awesome the plan of the Most High is, brothers and sisters. The Most High don't think like us. The Most High ways is higher than us, brothers and sisters. Let's go over this again, verse 18, so you can really understand. Then after a long time, the city in which the gold, the incense, and the myrrh are found with my body shall be plundered. But when it is spoiled, the gold, the incense, and the myrrh shall be taken care of with the spoil that is kept, and not of them shall perish until the word of Eliakim made man shall come. So what is the word of Eliakim made man shall come? That's the Mashiach. That's the word that became flesh and dwell amongst men. Emmanuel, Eliakim be with us, or Eliakim is among us. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? That's what it means. When kings shall take them. So who is the kings shall take them? The three wise men. There were three kings, brothers and sisters. Right? And shall offer to him gold in token of his being king, incense in token of his being Eliakim of heaven and earth, and myrrh in token of his passion. So you see that, brothers and sisters. So a lot of things going on in this verse alone, in verse 18. Our father Adam prophesied the flood, right? Our father Adam prophesied Mashiach's birth and his gift, right? He prophesied the destruction of the city that would house those gifts and it will be preserved. So 3 prophecies right there in that one verse, brothers and sisters. 3 prophecies in that one verse alone, right? And he breaks down what the gifts means. Right, brothers and sisters, he broke down what the gifts mean. He said, but when it is spoiled, the gold, the incense, and the myrrh shall be taken care of with the spoil that is kept, and not of them shall perish until the word of Elohim made man shall come. That's the Mashiach. When king shall take them, which is the 3 wise men, and shall offer to him gold, right? This is the breakdown of the 3 gifts. Gold in token of his being king, incense in token of his being Elohim of heaven and earth, and myrrh in token of his passion, which is death and suffering, right? And salvation for Yashrael and their descendants, the Hebrew slaves. Huh? Alright. Verse 19. Gold also as a token of his overcoming of our Saturn and all our foes. Incense is a token that he will rise from the dead and be exalted above things in heaven and things in earth. And myrrh in token that he will drink bitter gall and feel the pains of hell from Hashatan. And now, O Seth, my son, behold, I have revealed unto thee hidden mysteries which Elohim had revealed unto me. Keep my commandment for thyself and for thy people. See that? Chapter 9, the death of Adam. When Adam had ended his commandment to Seth, his limbs were loosened, his hands and feet lost all power, his mouth became dumb, and his tongue ceased altogether to speak. He closed his eyes and gave up the spirit. But when his children saw that he was dead, they threw themselves over him, men and women, old and young, weeping. The death of Adam took place at the end of 930 years that he lived on earth. So our father Adam lived almost 1,000 years, brothers and sisters. Huh? You would never see that happen again, brothers and sisters. A man lived nearly 1,000 years on the earth. So the amount of generation Adam saw, 70 generations equal to 1,000 years, brothers and sisters. 70 generation total 1,000 years. He almost lived to see 70 generations, brothers and sisters. So you imagine the wealth of information and wisdom this one man have, right? On the 50th day of Barmundi, after the reckoning of an epoch of the sun at the 9th hour, it was on a Friday, the very day on which he was created and on which he rested. The hour at which he died was the same as that at which he came out of the garden. Then Seth wound him up well and embalmed him with plenty of sweet spices from sacred trees and from the holy mountain, and he laid his body on the eastern side of the inside of the cave, the side of the incense, and placed it in front of him a lampstand kept burning. Then his children stood before him weeping and wailing over him the whole night until break of day. Then Seth and his son Enos and Canaan, the son of Enos, went out and took good offerings to present unto Yahweh, and they came to the altar upon which Adam offered gifts to Eliakim when he did offer. But Eve said to them, Wait until we have first asked Eliakim to accept our offering and to keep by him the soul of Adam his servant, and to take it up the rest. And they all stood up and prayed. Right? Chapter 10. Adam was the first. And when they had ended their prayer, the word of Eliakim came and comforted them concerning their father Adam. After this, they offered their gifts for themselves and for their father. And when they had ended their offering, the word of Eliakim came to Seth, the eldest among them, saying unto him, O Seth, 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 3 times, as I was with thy father, so also shall I be with thee until the fulfillment of the promise I made him thy father, saying, I will send my word and save thee and thy seed. But as to thy father Adam, keep thou the commandment he gave thee, and sever thy seed from that of Cain thy brother. And Eliakim withdrew his word from Seth. Then Seth, Eve, and their children came down from the mountain to the cave of treasures. But Adam was the first whose soul died in the land of Eden in the cave of treasures. For no one died before him, but his son Abel, who died murdered. Then all the children of Adam rose up and wept over their father Adam, and made offering to him 140 days. Chapter 11. Seth becomes head of the most happy and just tribe of people who ever lived. After the death of Adam and of Eve, Seth severed his children and his children's children from Cain's children. Cain and his seed went down and dwelt westward below the place where he had killed his brother Abel. But Seth and his children dwelt northwards upon the mountain of the cave of treasures, in order to be near to their father Adam. And Seth the elder, tall and good, with a fine soul and of a strong mind, stood at the head of his people, and tended them in innocence, patience, and meekness, and did not allow one of them to go down to Cain's children. But because of their own purity, they were named children of Eliakim, and they were with Eliakim instead of the hosts of angels who fell. For they continued in praises to Eliakim and in singing psalms unto him in their cave, the cave of treasures. Then Seth stood before the body of his father Adam and of his mother Eve, and prayed night and day, and asked for mercy towards himself and his children, that when he had some difficult dealings with a child, he would give him counsel. But Seth and his children did not like earthly work, but gave themselves to heavenly things, for they had no other thought than praises, doxicologies, and psalms unto Eliakim. Therefore did they at all times hear the voices of angels praising and glorifying Eliakim from within the garden, or when they were sent by Eliakim on an errand, or when they were going up to heaven. For Seth and his children, by reason of their own purity, heard and saw those angels. Then again, the garden was not far above them, but only some 15 spiritual cubits. Alright, brothers and sisters, so let's read verse 9 again. Now one spiritual cubit answers to verse 8, brothers and sisters. For Seth and his children, by reason of their own purity, heard and saw those angels. Then again, the garden was not far above, but only some 15 spiritual cubits. You see that? 15 spiritual cubits, brothers and sisters. So 15 cubits is 22 and a half foot. Right? 22 and a half foot above them. So if you look at the screen, you will see what 15 cubits look like, brothers and sisters. Right? That's what it looks like. Right? Right, brothers and sisters, that's what it looks like. Right? Verse 9. Now one spiritual cubit answers to 3 cubits of man. Right? One spiritual cubit answers to 3 cubits of man, altogether 45 cubits. Seth and his children dwelt on the mountain below the garden. They sowed not, neither did they reap. They wrought no food for the body, not even wheat, but only offerings. They ate of the fruit and of trees well flavored with that grew on the mountain where they dwelt. So you see, they dwell on a mountain. Right? Then Seth often fasted every 40 days, as did his eldest children. For the family of Seth smelled the smell of the trees in the garden when the wind blew that way. They were happy, innocent, without sudden fear. There was no jealousy, no evil action, no hatred among them. There was no animal passion, from no mouth among them went forth either foul words or curse, neither evil counsel nor fraud. See that, brothers and sisters? Let's go over verse 12 again, brothers and sisters. They were happy, innocent, without sudden fear. There was no jealousy, no evil actions, no hatred among them. There was no animal passion. From no mouth among them went forth either foul words or curse, neither evil counsel nor fraud. For the men of that time never swore, but under hard circumstances, when men must swear, they swore by the blood of Abel the just. But they constrained their children and their women every day in the cave to fast and pray, and to worship the Most High Elohim. They blessed themselves in the body of their father Adam, and anoint themselves with it. And they did so until the end of Seth drew near. Right, brothers and sisters? Right. We are chapter 12. Seth family affairs. His death. The headship of Enos. How the outcast branch of Adam's family fared. Then Seth the just called his son Enos, and Canaan son of Enos, and Mahalalel son of Canaan, and said unto them, As my end is near, I wish to build a roof over the altar which gifts are offered. They hearkened to his commandment, and went out all of them, both old and young, and worked hard at it, and built a beautiful roof over the altar. And Seth's thought in so doing was that a blessing should come upon his children on the mountain, and that he should present an offering for them before his death. Then when the building of the roof was completed, he commanded them to make offerings. They worked diligently at these, and brought them to Seth their father, and who took them and offered them upon the altar, and prayed Elohim to accept their offering, to have mercy on the souls of his children, and to keep them from the hand of Satan. And Elohim accepted his offering, and sent his blessing upon him and upon his children. And then Elohim made a promise to Seth, saying, at the end of the great 5 days and a half, concerning which I have made a promise to thee and to thy father, I will send my word and save thee and thy seed. So again, brothers and sisters, my word is Yahusha, who became flesh and dwell amongst men, dwell amongst Yashael, and save thee and thy seed. Then Seth and his children children met together and came down from the altar and went to the cave of treasures, where they prayed and blessed themselves in the body of our father Adam, and anointed themselves with it. But Seth abode in the cave of treasures a few days, and then suffered sufferings unto death. Then Enos his father born son came to him with Canaan his son, and Mahalalel Canaan's son, and Yared the son of Mahalalel, and Enoch Jared's son, with their wives and children, to receive a blessing from Seth. Then Seth prayed over them and blessed them, and adjured them by the blood of Abel the just, saying, I beg of you, my children, not to let one of you go down from this holy and pure mountain. Make no fellowship with the children of Cain, the murderer and the sinner who killed his brother. For ye know, O my children, that we flee from him and from all his sins with all our might, because he killed his brother Abel. After having said this, Seth blessed Enos his firstborn son, and commanded him habitually to minister in purity before the body of our father Adam all the days of his life. Then also to go at times to the altar which he, Seth, had built, and he commanded him to feed his people in righteousness, right, in judgment and purity all the days of his life. Then the limbs of Seth were loosened, his hands and feet lost all power, his mouth became dumb and unable to speak, and he gave up the spirit and died the day after his 912 years, and the 27th day of the month Abib, which is April, Enoch being then 20 years old. So you see how long our forefathers lived? Our father Adam 930, his son 912. But you can see a trend, right? As time go by, the years dwindle. You see? From 930 to 912. Right, brothers and sisters? 18 years depletion, right? Right, brothers and sisters? Then they wound up carefully the body of Seth and embalmed him with sweet spices. So you see that embalming is not an Egyptian thing. It came from Yashael. Came from Adam. You see that? I just want to point that out, brothers and sisters. Then they wound up carefully the body of Seth and embalmed him with sweet spices, and laid him in the cave of treasures on the right side of our father Adam's body, and they mourned for him 40 days. They offered gifts for him as they had done for our father Adam. After the death of Seth, Enos rose at the head of his people, whom he fed in righteousness and judgment, as his father had commanded him. But by the time Enos was 820 years old, Cain had a large progeny, for they married frequently, being given to animal lust, until the land below the mountain was filled with them. So you see, like I tell you, see how the years depleted from 800 to 900 to 800, brothers and sisters. Chapter 13. Chapter 13. Among the children of Cain there was much robbery, murder, and sin. In those days lived Lamech the blind, who was of the sons of Canaan. Who was the son of Cain, sorry, brothers and sisters. Who was the son of Cain. He had a son whose name was Atun, and they too had much cattle. But Lamech was in the habit of sending them to feed with a young shepherd, who tended them, and who, when coming home in the evening, wept before his grandfather, and before his father Atun, and his mother Hazina, right? Hazina, and said to them, As for me, I cannot feed those cattle alone, lest one rob me of some of them, or kill me for the sake of them. For among the children of Cain there was much robbery, murder, and sin. Then Lamech pitied him, and he said, Truly he, when alone, might be overpowered by the men of this place. So Lamech arose, took a bow he had kept ever since he was a youth, ere he became blind, and he took large arrows and smooth stones, and a sling and smooth stones. Verse 4. So Lamech arose, took a bow he had kept ever since he was a youth, ere he became blind, and he took large arrows and smooth stones, and a sling which he had. You see that? King David used a sling and a stone to slew Goliath, right, brothers and sisters? So it's nothing new. Nothing new, brothers and sisters. Right? And a sling which he had, and went to the field with the youth shepherd, and placed himself behind the cattle, while the young shepherd watched the cattle. Thus did Lamech many days. Meanwhile Cain, ever since Eliakim had cast him off, and had cursed him with trembling and terror, could neither settle nor find rest in any one place, but wandered from place to place. In his wandering he came to Lamech's wife, and asked them about him. They said to him, He is in the field with the cattle. Then Cain went to look for him, and as he came into the field, the young shepherd heard the noise he made, and the cattle herding together from before him. Then said he to Lamech, O my Adonai, is that a wild beast or a robber? And Lamech said to him, Make me understand which way he looks when he comes up. Then Lamech bent his bow, placed an arrow on it, and fitted a stone in the sling. And when Cain came out from the open country, the shepherd said to Lamech, Shoot, behold, he is coming. Then Lamech shot at Cain with his arrow, and hit him in his side. And Lamech struck him with a stone from his sling, that fell upon his face, and knocked out his eyes. Then Cain fell at once and died. You see that? The same way how he killed his brother Abel, the same way how Cain died, with a stone to his head. See that? See that, brothers and sisters? Then Lamech and the young shepherd came up to him, and found him lying on the ground. And the young shepherd said to him, It is Cain, our grandfather, whom thou hast killed, O my Adonai. Then was Lamech sorry for it, and from the bitterness of his regret he clapped his hands together, and struck with his flat palm the head of the youth, who fell as if dead. But Lamech thought it was a feint, so he took up a stone and smote him, and smashed his head until he died. Chapter 14. Chapter 14, brothers and sisters. Time, like an ever-rolling stream, bears away another generation of men. When Enos was 900 years old, all the children of Seth and of Canaan and his firstborn with their wives and children gathered around him, asking for a blessing from him. He then prayed over them and blessed them, and adjured them by the blood of Abel the just, saying to them, Let not one of your children go down from this holy mountain, and let them make no fellowship with children of Cain the murderer. Then Enos called his son Canaan, and said to him, See, O my son, and set thy heart on thy people, and establish them in righteousness and in innocence, and stand ministering before the body of our father Adam all the days of thy life. After this Enos entered into rest, aged 985 years. And Cain wound him up and laid him in the cave of treasures on the left on the left of his father Adam, and made offering for him after the custom of his father. Right, brothers and sisters? 15, chapter 15. The offspring of Adam continued to keep the cave of treasures as a family shrine. After the death of Enos, Canaan stood at the head of his people in righteousness and innocence, and as his father had commanded him, he also continued to minister before the body of Adam inside the cave of treasures. Then, when he had lived 910 years, suffering and affliction came upon him. And when he was about to enter into rest, all the fathers with their wives and children came to him, and he blessed them and adjured them by the blood of Abel the just, saying to them, that's where the term come, Abel the just, from Abel. Right, brothers and sisters? All right. And also, as you can see too, that as again the years dwindle, it gets shorter and shorter, from 930 to 912 to where we at right now. Right? 910. You see that? All right. Let not one among you go down from this holy mountain and make no fellowship with the children of Cain, the murderer. Mahalalel, his firstborn son, received this commandment from his father, who blessed him and died. Then Mahalalel embalmed him with sweet spices and laid him in the cave of treasures with his fathers, and they made offering for him after the custom of their fathers. Right, brothers and sisters? So, chapter 16. The good branch of the family is still afraid of the children of Cain. Then Mihalel stood over his people and fed them in righteousness and innocence, and watched them to see they held no intercourse with the children of Cain. He also continued in the cave of treasures, praying, ministering before the body of our father Adam, asking Elohim for mercy on himself and on his people, until he was 870 years old, when he fell sick. Right, brothers and sisters? Then all his children gathered unto him to see him and to ask for his blessing on them all ere he left this world. Then Mihalel arose and sat on his bed, his tears streaming down his face, and he called his eldest son Jared, who came to him. He then kissed his face and said unto him, O Jared, my son, I adjure thee by him who made heaven and earth, to watch over thy people, and to feed them in righteousness and in innocence, and not to let one of them go down from this holy mountain to the children of Cain, lest he perish with them. Hear, O my son, hereafter there shall come a great destruction upon this earth on account of them. Elohim, so you see, on account of the seed of Cain, the serpent seed, why destruction came. You understand? Because their seed was mixed with the fallen angels, brothers and sisters. So you got to understand that. Their seed was also mixed with the fallen angel, bring forth giants, men of renown, evil spirit, and wickedness from the seed of Cain. Verse 6, Hear, O my son, hereafter there shall come a great destruction upon this earth on account of them. Elohim will be angry with the world, and will destroy them with waters. But I also know that thy children will not hearken to thee, and that they will go down from this mountain. So you see, Mihalel is prophesying the destruction of what to come to his children if they do not obey. But I also know that thy children will not hearken to thee, and that they will go down from this mountain and hold intercourse with the children of Cain, and that they shall perish with them. O my son, teach them and watch over them, that no guilt attach to thee on their account. Mihalel said, moreover, to his son Yared, When I die, embalm my body and lay me in it, lay it in the cave of treasures by the bodies of my fathers. Then stand thou by my body and pray to Eliakim and take care of them and fulfill the ministry before them until thou enterest into rest thyself. Mihalel said, Mihalel then blessed all his children and then lay down on his bed and enter into rest like his fathers. But when Yared saw that his father Mahalel was dead, he wept and sorrowed and embraced and kissed his hands and his feet, and so did all his children. And his children embalmed him carefully and laid him by the bodies of his fathers. Then they arose and mourned for him 40 days. Alright, brothers and sisters. So herein the second book of Adam and Eve, from the lost books of the Bible and the forgotten book of Eden, brothers and sisters. This is a series also, but this series is of the second book. Alright, I hope you got something from this and take away from this what our forefathers went through on the count of Hashatan, and also on the account of our disobedience, brothers and sisters. You understand? We need to come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. This is the only way we're gonna weather the storms, brothers and sisters. Because believe it or not, whether you believe it or not, that's not my concern, brothers and sisters. That's not my concern at all. But one thing you need to understand and get it to your head, that what is happening to us is direct cause, that is in direction of our disobedience, brothers and sisters. You got to understand that we are a righteous seed. Our forefathers entered into covenant with the Most High. The Most High did not break the covenant. It's our forefathers break the covenant, and we continue to break the covenant till this day, because the Most High bless us as a people and punish us as a people. Yes, you might have individuals that make certain elevation and certain progress in life. Good, all well for them. But on a whole, we are blessed as a people, and on a whole, we are judged as a people, and you need to understand that. And the covenant the Most High made with our forefather Yashrael, it extended down to us. He did not make it just to Israel alone or Jacob alone, and that's it, stop at Jacob. It extended to his 12 sons and their children and their children and their children and their children, children till this modern day. His descendants of Hebrew slave. The covenant is still extended to us. The Most High gave his laws only to us, his commandments only to us, his statutes only to us. You understand, brothers and sisters? As a matter of fact, let me get that scripture to show you that his law was only given to us. Okay, brothers and sisters, this is the scriptures that I was telling you about, that the Most High only gave his laws, commandments, and statutes to Yashrael and no other nation, right? Let's turn to the book of Jubilees chapter 2, or the book of Yuvalin. Jubilees chapter 2, right? This book was written by Moshe also. Book of Jubilees chapter 2, we're going to take it from 30 to 33, right, brothers and sisters? Right? As a matter of fact, let's go further. Let's take it from 29 to 33. Declare and say to the children of Yasharel the Torah of this day, both that they should keep Shabbat thereon, and that they should not forsake it in the error of their hearts, and that it is not lawful to do any work thereon which is unseemly to do thereon their own pleasure, and that they should not prepare thereon anything to be eaten or drunk, and that it is not lawful to draw water or bring in or take out thereon through their gates any burden which they had not prepared for themselves on the 6th day in their dwellings. They shall not bring in nor take out from house to house on that day, for that day is more Kodesh, holy, and blessed than any jubilee day of the jubilees. On this we kept Shabbat in the heavens before it was made known. So you see that the angel was keeping the commandments and the Shabbat before it was made known to us, humans and flesh. So this Shabbat the Shabbat on this commandment was not exclusively to Yasharel. The angel was keeping it before man known about keeping the commandments. That is why when people say, oh, I love the Most High, you cannot love the Most High because the Most High have to love you first before you love Him. Because once the Most High love you first, then He will show you how to love Him. You see, brothers and sisters. Right? Let's go over this again. Verse 29 of Jubilees chapter 2. Declare and say to the children of Yasharel, the Torah, which is the law of this day, both that they should keep Shabbat thereon, and that they should not forsake it in the error of their hearts, and that it is not lawful to do any work thereon which is unseemly to do thereon their own pleasures, and that they should not prepare thereon anything to be eaten or drunk, and that it is not lawful to draw water or bring in or take out thereon through their gates any burden that they had not prepared to themselves on the 6th day in their dwellings. And they shall not bring in nor take out from house to house on that day, for that day is more Kodesh, holy and blessed than any jubilee of the jubilees. On this we kept Shabbat in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Shabbat thereon, the earth, and the creator of all things. This is what I want you to get to understand, brothers and sisters. And the creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep Shabbat thereon. I want you to understand, brothers and sisters, how special you are, that you are the seed of the Most High. And because you don't want to come back to this Most High and His last commandment, He will severely punish you and all the rebellious from amongst Yasharel, in and around Yasharel. You understand? So praise be to Yahuwah for that. Because we need to get rid of all these rebellious and vagabond Jews that does steadily will not change their mentality and their lifestyle to better strengthen themselves spiritually, emotionally, and physically. You understand? And the only way that can happen is through coming back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. So the Most High could impart wisdom and bring the both men and women together in one. Two heads are better than one. I keep telling you that. Two heads are better than one. The scripture tell you about this. Two heads is better than one. Right? And we go into that in a minute. But, you know, let's continue this. Right? And the creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep Shabbat thereon, but Yasharel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to keep Shabbat on the earth. You see that? And the creator of all things blessed it, and he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep Shabbat thereon, but Yasharel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to keep Shabbat thereon the earth. And the creator of all things blessed this day which he had created for blessing, and making it Kodesh, holy and splendid above all days. This Torah, law, and testimony was given to the children of Yasharel as a Torah, as a law forever unto their generations, brothers and sisters. You understand? Alright, brothers and sisters. Turn your scriptures to Jubilees chapter 1. We're going to take it from 12 to 16, brothers and sisters. Jubilees chapter 1, we're going to take it from 12 to 16. This is also prophecy and the curse. One of the prophecy and the curse that befell upon us because of our stiff-neckedness and continued disobedience and contempt of Yahuwah and His Holy Son Yahushua and His laws. Right? First, Jubilees chapter 1. 12 to 16. And I will send witnesses unto them that I may witness against them, but they will not hear, and will slay the witnesses also, and they will persecute those who seek the Torah, the law, and they will abrogate and change everything as to work even before my eyes, which is going on right now, brothers and sisters. Right? And I will hide my face from them, and I will deliver them into the hand of the Gentiles for captivity and for prey and for devouring. And I will remove them from the midst of the land, and I will scatter them amongst the Gentiles. This has been fulfilled. Are we not scattered? among the Gentiles, stiff-necked Yashrael, the son of Hebrew slaves? Are we not scattered, brothers and sisters? And they will forget all my Torah, law, and all my commandments, and all my judgment, and will go astray as to new moons, and Shabbats, and festivals, and jubilees, and ordinance. Right? Shabbats, you see that? Shabbats with the S, plural. Plural, brothers and sisters. Right? It was 2 Shabbats. A Wednesday Shabbat, which is the high day, and the weekly Shabbat. Right? That's 2 Shabbat. Right there, brothers and sisters. That's all ties in the resurrection of the Mashiach also, brothers and sisters. 3 days and 3 nights. Right? That's key right there. That's a nugget right there. Go and research, brothers and sisters. Go and study to find that answer out. Because you cannot get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday to Sunday. That's impossible, brothers and sisters. Because from sundown to sundown is 1 day. So another nugget right there. Right? Right? 15. And after this they will turn to me from among the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength, and I will gather them from amongst all the Gentiles, and they will seek me, so that I shall be found of them when they seek me with all their hearts and with all their soul. And I will disclose to them abounding shalom, peace, with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness, and I will disclose to them abounding shalom, peace, with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul, and they shall be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they shall be the head and not the tail. These are future prophecy, brothers and sisters. Right now we are the tail because we refuse to come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. But once we gather ourselves again and come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes with the help of Yahusha and with the riddance of the vagabond Jews and the stiff-necked ways and the mixing of the seed, right? Those who practice and partake in these things and their selfish ways, once they are rooted out from among us by the will of the Most High, right? Then these things will happen. Right, brothers and sisters? Soon and very soon it will happen. Right? Yes, brothers and sisters, it will happen. Right? Alright, brothers and sisters. Here's the scriptures I was telling you about. 2 are better than 1. Right? 2 are better than 1. Right, brothers and sisters? 2 are better than 1. So 2 come together is 2 heads. Right? Ecclesiastics 4, 9 to 12, 1611 KJV, brothers and sisters. Right? Ecclesiastics 4, 9 to 12, 1611 KJV. 2 are better than 1. Right off the bat, the scripture state that 2 are better than 1. Right? Because they have a good reward for their what? Labor. You see that, brothers and sisters? I keep telling you, in this time, in this modern time, you see how things are hard out there. You need 2 heads. Your rate of survival increase dramatically when 2 of you working together as one, recognizing the head as the man and the leadership of this relationship, brothers and sisters. This gender war is part of Hashatan's beguilement to further destroy the union between the black man and the black woman. And you effeminate, simple-minded, weak men co-sign the prostitutional lifestyle of these so-called black women. And we need to bring back shame in the community towards these behaviors and this lifestyle and the dressing and the filthiness and abominable ways in the so-called black community, because there's no black community pure 100% no more. You're like freaking Skittles mix. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their what? Labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. You see that, brothers and sisters? You see that? Let me repeat that again so you could understand. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is what? Alone. You see that? All this independent mind say, I don't need no man. You see what the scripture says, right? Think. It's about survival. It's about unity. It's about building a nuclear family that look like you, that could go on to the next generation, brothers and sisters. But woe unto him that is alone. But woe unto him that is alone. But woe unto him that is alone when he falleth, for he has not another to help him up. You see that, brothers and sisters? Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? You see that, brothers and sisters? Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and threefold cord is not quickly broken. You see that, brothers and sisters? Example of what that last verse says. If you have one matchstick in your hand, that one matchstick could easily break. But if you have two and three matchsticks together, it's very hard to break because they are together, brothers and sisters. That's what the scriptures are saying. When the black man and woman come together, they are not easily broken because they are working in unit. They're working together, a common goal, establishing unity, family, and love, so you could hand down knowledge and wisdom to the next generation, handing down these laws, commandments, and statutes to the next, and to the next generation, brothers and sisters. Now you see, everything is in the scriptures. Everything you need to govern your life morally, spiritually, and economically is in the scriptures. If only we would come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes and keep them, so that the Most High can bless us as a people. You understand, brothers and sisters? Come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. You understand? Because the judge is around the corner. Whether you believe or not, it's not my concern. But I tell you one thing though, brothers and sisters, for surety, you will be destroyed. Because every single one of us will have to die. And the scripture says, once we die, then come judgment. Change your ways, brothers and sisters. You are royal people. You are children of Yashrael, descendants of Hebrews and Hebrew slave brothers and sisters. Shalom.